Hey, you know what it is. It is Urban Politics, and I'm your humble host, Fizz Ed Music, and here it is, another rousing week of Urban Politics. This is where politics lives. I want to thank all the people who have been liking and subscribing. So please like and subscribe. Tell a friend, tell a mom, tell a brother, tell a cousin, tell anybody with ears who gets into having a dialogue about some of these issues and some of this stuff that's going on in the news. Tell them about Urban Politics with your humble host, Fizz Ed Music. And yeah, let's go ahead and get right into it like a car and drive, because there is so much tasty politics to sink our teeth into this week. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Alan Weisselberg. I love that name. Weisselberg. That sounds like a Jewish lawyer with money, don't it? Weisselberg. I like that. Alan Weisselberg, the CFO of the Trump Organization, indicted for money laundering on Thursday. They say Trump was paying him in the form of cars and homes. They said that he was collecting free rent for years and two Mercedes, one for him and one for his wife. Gifts instead of incurring a salary allow people to avoid paying taxes on money. The business kept track of these payments but did not pay taxes on them. These are not the actions of a multi-million-dollar operation. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So, let's go ahead and take that piece by piece. Number one, gifts instead of incurring a salary. The reason they're doing that is because I guess when you give people gifts, you don't have to pay taxes on the money that you would be paying them in a salary. And they also don't have to pay money or any taxes on that money. So that's why a lot of, I guess, rich people do this all the time. They give out, maybe, like a free hotel stay or, free rentals or whatever. In this case, free cars and stuff in place of letting you collect a salary for your services, because that's a way around the taxes, which is sad and pathetic. But you know what I'm saying? These are the actions of Trump, a guy who came out his mouth and told us that he didn't pay taxes, or told us that he paid as little taxes as possible. So there's that. The business kept track of these payments but did not pay taxes on them. That's interesting. I learned that from watching Rachel Maddow, that I guess they were keeping a ledger of what they were doing as far as these different apartments. Well, not really either. This apartment that him and Mr. Weisselberg and his wife stayed in for years. They kept a track of making payments for that, and they made it, and they kept a track of making payments for these Mercedes or buying these Mercedes that they did for him and his wife, but they didn't report it to taxes. They just kept records, personal business records, which was stupid because those records can be subpoenaed by courts, which is happening now. So there it is. Anything done in the darkness shall come to light. So there's that. You know what I'm saying? These are not the actions of a multi-million-dollar corporation. They are not. That's what they were saying on some article I think I was reading. They were like, they said the Trump organization runs more like low-budget laundromats or something that are constantly flipping money from here to there and everywhere. This guy, that's just hot business. Any criminal knows you can't have a business and then be paying your kids and other people under the table in gifts and stuff like that. They have to incur a salary because they want they, being the government, they want that salary to be taxed so that they get a piece of it. When they don't get a piece, you go to jail. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that, and nobody knows it better than rich people doing big business. But when you get a charlatan in the game, when you get somebody who was given their money by their father and they don't really know anything about anything, obviously don't know anything about business, then they do hot criminal stuff like this. And he's not the first and he won't be the last, but moving on. The kids are implicated. They say Ivanka was getting paid by the company as well as drawing a salary as a consultant. You can't do that. You can't do that. You can't have a business and then employ your daughter over here, but then over here she's also getting checks as a consultant. So she's getting paid 2 times. You think the government's not going to see that? You think Uncle Sam is not going to be mad at the fact that this individual was collecting 2 salaries and I didn't get paid a piece of their one? They have not been paying attention to this country that they live in. I mean, I understand that you're white and you're privileged, but everybody must pay taxes. What did the man who wrote Tom Sawyer, but Mark Twain, what did he say? And he said it best. The only thing that you are promised is death and taxes. You're going to die and you're going to pay taxes. So I don't know why they were thinking they were going to get away from that with this. That's just really ridiculous. I put Leona Helmsley and Al Capone. What do those two people have in common? These are two people they took down because of what? Tax evasion. Tax evasion is the number one way that they always get kingpins or queenpins or anybody who they can't get or they want to, trap up. The government always gets them on tax evasion because nobody wants to pay taxes. Nobody. This just came to my mind. I got to go ahead and share it. Years ago, I remember somebody coming to me and saying, what's going on with Wesley Snipes? He making all that money doing all them movies and stuff and ain't paying his taxes. What is he thinking? I'm like, man, look, that plays out like this. You hustling, doing your thing. You get a call from your accountant. Your accountant says, hey, look, you made $40-50 million last year. I probably should put a good $5-6-7-8 million of that to the side for taxes. At least, maybe more than that. You know what I'm saying? For taxes. Let's say 10 million. You made 80 million. I need to put a good 10-12 million to the side for taxes. The rich person says, but then they say, hey, look, but you also have a mortgage here, a mortgage there, a mortgage here. You got this car you own, this car you own, this. You're paying for this, you're paying for that, paying for this. They start saying, hey, look, I need that $10,000-$12,000. We'll pay the government later. Put those taxes off. I'll pay that later. Let me go ahead and use this money for what I want to use it for. And that's what people do. And as the accountant, hey, this is the person who's paying your salary. So you do what they tell you to do and you put the money into other things that aren't their taxes. Ergo, those taxes end up not getting paid. And then you end up with this. You know what I'm saying? And it's not, in that case, I think you have people who are regular citizens like you and I, but they making a ton of money, but because of that, their bills are bigger. They got bills to pay. They feel like, geez, I got bills to pay. Why I got to pay all these taxes to the government just because I live here in America? That's garbage, so they don't want to do it. When you super rich like this, I mean, this is just greed. But that's what lets you know that is Trump really super rich? Because they were also saying that in the article I was reading. Super rich people don't do this. Super rich people are not moving around all these things and paying their children, in an attempt to save $900,000, $1 million. That ain't no money to super rich people. If you on that billionaire status, if you in that billionaire club, what do you care about saving a couple of $1 million? You would not risk your business. You would not risk your livelihood trying to save a couple of $1 million. So the fact that Trump does little ghetto stuff like this, that lets you know that he ain't got the bread that he claimed that he got. But anyway, for those people who are paying attention, yeah, that's how they got Al Capone. That's how they got Leona Helmsley. That's how they got plenty of people. Tax evasion. When you are not paying your taxes, Uncle Sam will come to see about that, and you bets to have his money. Because if you don't, you will do jail time. And that's something interesting to think about, too. I mean, both of those people, they went to jail. Al Capone died in jail. Leona Helmsley, she got out of jail, but by the time she got out of jail, what was she doing or what could she do? Her career was done. Her name was mud in the streets. So it is what it is. He should be paying attention because he might end up going out like these two individuals. Anyway, moving on. Let's talk about Attorney General Merrick Garland. This is the guy who had got the nomination from Obama back in the day. Couldn't get it through because Mitch McConnell was stopping it, as he always does, and he stopped that, and Merrick Garland ended up not getting that confirmation to be a Supreme Court judge, but then, Biden got in there and nominated him the Attorney General, and he was saying that he announced that there would be a moratorium on executions, which the Trump administration had resumed the use of in federal cases. So I guess they had got rid of that for a minute because a lot of people have been going on and on about how it's inhumane and we should not be, killing people, putting people to death no matter what they've done. Now, I understand that there are cases where, family members have been killed or whatever, stuff like that, and there are people who are like, nah, put that person to death. They've had a case of doing too much, and I get that. And sometimes I agree with that. People can't have a case of doing too much, but this is a kinder, gentler administration. They definitely have a conscience, unlike the other administration. So they've gotten rid of that death penalty piece. Garland said the Justice Department will also have a review of its policies and procedures. That's huge, and that's what is needed. That's why you've also seen things like them getting involved in the stuff that's going on there in Georgia with these racist voting laws and all that type of stuff. The Department of Justice is stepping up and doing what the Department of Justice was meant to do, and that's defend the American people or the rights and liberties of the American people. Unfortunately, we just had an administration. You didn't see much of that going on. You didn't see much of anything going on. Except some characters in there doing a lot of culture war BS and stuff like that. So this is a different time that we have. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm looking at my code. I'm like, do I got? Okay, that was a fly. So, so you know what I'm saying? These are different times, different administration. So you're seeing some different actions out of the Department of Justice. Garland said, the Department of Justice must ensure that everyone in the federal criminal justice system is not only afforded the rights, but guaranteed by the Constitution and the laws of the United States, but it is also treated, or they are also treated fairly and humanely. He emphasized that the obligation has special force in capital cases. So it has special force in capital cases. So that's the point. You know what I'm saying? They got to be mindful of these things. They got to be thoughtful with this legislation. And he's saying within these capital cases, when a person will be killed, they will cease to exist. We're going to put out someone's life light. We need to make sure that we're doing everything by the book and we're doing everything right and we're dispensing this justice in a fair and honorable and equal way. So I hear that. Once again, this is stuff you would not get or hear from the administration that we just had. So this is a breath of fresh air coming from Biden and them. Moving on, let me just hit you with some quick one-liners that I seen in the news. $850 million settlement from the Boy Scouts. If it goes through, it will be the biggest payout in history. It should be. Probably should be bigger than that. We got all these Boy Scouts who have been molested by scout leaders. That's redonkulous. That's not cool. So, yeah, all those people, those men and women should get justice any kind of way. $850 million settlement. That's a lot. I didn't know the Boy Scouts was making that much money. The Boy and Girl Scouts now, I guess, because it's combined or whatever. But, yeah, I didn't know they had bread like that. But guess what? They need to go ahead and pay it forward to people who have been victimized by scout leaders. And that is extremely sad and pathetic. Moving on. Wages in America. Wages in America have been extremely stagnant for years. And all I did was I just went through real quick and I wrote down some of these states. Check me out. Kentucky, Idaho, Pittsburgh, North Dakota, Indiana, Texas, Utah. What do they have in common? All have a $7.25 a $7.25 an hour minimum wage. That is ridiculous. $7.25. Who can live off of that? Who can live off of that? You can't live off of $10 an hour. You can't live off of $12 an hour. You can't live off of $13 an hour. $15 an hour, you can live with some dignity off of that. With $15 an hour, you can probably pay all your bills, and that's about it. I don't know if you're able to take your family out for at least a nice dinner once or twice that month, or buy anything nice, for your kids or your lady at $15 an hour. That's probably not happening at that. But at least you're able to pay your bills and live with a little bit of dignity. But think about that. $7.25 is the minimum wage in all of those states I just mentioned. What is it here in Ohio? Because I was wondering that myself. $8.80. What? That's pathetic. And you know what that is? That is what a lot of these states do. They raise it just a little higher than the national average, because I think the national average, the federal minimum wage is $7.25, I'm pretty sure. So they raise it a little higher than that just to say, yeah, we're doing something. Well, we're higher than the national average. Well, and if you look, our minimum wage is higher than the national average. That's garbage. The national average It's just $7.25. Who's living off of that? Who's living off of that? Who's going to pay bills with that? Even if you're working 40 hours a week, even if you're working 50 hours a week, even if you're working 60 hours a week, even if you're working 70 hours a week, even if you're working 80 hours a week, you are not making ends meet at $7.25. So when you hear these people out here go on and on about the minimum wage and how it doesn't need to be higher, think of that number. If you live here in the beautiful river state like I do, OH in a dime, think about that $8.80 an hour. That is garbage. That ain't no money. So all these people out here, you know what I'm saying, who are having to live on this $8.80 an hour or even a little bit above that, come on, man. We $15 an hour and up. That's it. That's it. That needs to be it. The minimum wage needs to be $15 an hour and up. Anyway, moving on. Quick little bite. Soul caps. I never heard of this because I don't do much swimming, and hair issues is not an issue for me, as you can see. The soul cap is an Afro swim cap. It got rejected by the Olympics. Regular kind don't allow enough room for black hair. That's what a lot of these black swimmers were saying. That a regular swim cap like mats down their hair and doesn't allow enough room for the black hair. You know what I'm saying? The cornrows and the dreads and such like that. Keeps hair. This is what these soul caps do. They keep hair clear of chlorine. And they said, which chlorine can be hard sometimes to wash out. And, a long time, it can take a long time to wash out. It's hard to wash out and it takes forever to wash out. I said, this all goes with all this other crap. All that, why, number one, why would the Olympics care about what you're using to cover your hair? I don't get that. Why would they care? That's not giving these black athletes an advantage. It's doing none of that. All it's doing is helping them keep their black hair safe. And they were saying these particular soul caps, these swim caps, give them enough room to be able to put all that black hair up in there and make sure that it stays free of chlorine and free of debris or whatever that is hard to comb out and brush out and wash out later. So why? Why would that be a problem? But I swear this is just another thing to bar, black people out of certain sports to keep us out. If anything, to exclude us from certain thing that's going on, like this swimming thing. And it just falls in line with all this other stuff, no cornrows in the workplace or in the military. Every time you turn around, they say black women can't wear their hair like this, can't wear their hair like that. We don't want dreads. We don't want a lot of our athletes running around in these dreads or, all that good stuff. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But all of that is just a code for saying we don't want these black kids involved. We don't want these black people involved. We want to find a way to exclude them from our activities, and we'll use the hair on their head, which they view. This is historic. There were hair tie laws. There were all that stuff going on. And if you don't believe me, Google it. Get your Google on. Do your Googles, and you'll find out. The discrimination against black folk and black folk hair has been going on for generations. It needs to stop, and I think that's all this is. Once again, you got the Olympics, salty. You got a lot of black kids competing. What do you want? A lot of them are talented. A lot of them have the goods. But they're, here's another way just to bar them. Here's another way just to exclude them, keep them out. Because here's another rule we're going to put in. We don't like those swim caps. It's a swim cap. I don't know anything about swimming or any of that stuff. Not to diss it or nothing, because like I said, I don't know anything about it. But I can't imagine that a swim cap is going to give you an edge in swimming at all. Anyway, moving on. Last thing I want to talk about our sister who's been going through it. I've seen that some of the community has been supporting her. Some of the community has some stupid stuff to say. I say stupid just because I'm like, what? But you've seen it. Sha'Carri Richardson tested positive for THC. Richardson failed a drug test following her Olympic qualifying 100-meter race victory at the U.S. Olympic Track and Field. The trials were in Eugene, Oregon on June 19th. Okay, so there it is. The sister she failed the drug test. Now, I think when they do these trials, they test you before the trial and after the trial, which she knew. Because, I mean, come on now. She's been doing this for a minute. She's been a good runner for a minute, so she knew what was going on with that. Richardson revealed, though, that her biological mother had passed a week before, and that she also got the news from a reporter. So this young lady had ran a great race, come out after the race, just have a reporter let her know, oh, by the way, your mother passed. Did you know that? Or how do you feel about that? And I'm sure she was gobsmacked, as English people would say, to be like, what? And I don't know if she was on camera or if the guy or gal was sitting there with a pen and a notepad in front of her. But think about that. Think about that. Here you are, this young lady. You know what I'm saying? I'm assuming, if I'm wrong on this, always give me some pushback. She lives with her grandmother. I want to say that's what I read. And you know, here you are running this race. You're getting all this national attention. People got eyes on you. And then you finish this race, and once again, they're giving you accolades and all of that, talking about your time, talking about how good you're doing, talking about your future with the Olympics, but they also add in the caveat that your mother just passed. Wow. And then somehow, as a young woman, she had to find the poise and the grace to deal with that. Obviously, she did. But, you know, we all deal with things in different ways. So after she dealt with that in front of the camera, in front of the report, you know what I'm saying, or in front of the reporter, you know, she dealt with it in some different ways. In some different ways. Eric Alteri, I think I'm saying that right. This guy is a director of NORML, an organization that supports the normalization of marijuana. Said she, like millions of her fellow Americans, turned to cannabis therapeutic benefits to help her cope with the tragic loss of her mother. To use this rationale for denying this athlete, who is otherwise competing at the top of her sport, the ability to represent the U.S. at the Tokyo Olympics should be an unacceptable outcome in this situation. Let Richardson race. That right there said it best. I don't think I can say it better than that right there. He said it best right there. Number one, marijuana. Y'all done made this legal in states all over the place. And they were saying, I guess, that the place that she, quote unquote, used marijuana in, I think it was Oregon. It's legal there. So she didn't do anything illegal. You know what I'm saying? She just used marijuana. And that is one of the substances that they do test for. I'm sure that she knew in the back of her head, I'm going to get dinged for this. They're gonna say something about this. Now, maybe a piece of her was thinking, hey, look, I just lost my mother. I'm feeling depressed. You know what I'm saying? I need, and this is a young lady, so think about it. You got to think about it. You know, she, in the vernacular today, she wanted to get litty that night because she was like, I just lost my mother. My mother just passed. I'm going through it. I'm feeling it. Let me go ahead and hit a blunt or something, man, just to get this off my mind real quick, just to feel okay for a hot second. While she went through the hardest thing that any human being will ever go through, the loss of a parent or the loss of their mother in particular. So people have the nerve to give her crap because she hit a blunt, because she had just lost her mother. She's a human being, right? So there's that. I also like what she had to say about the situation herself. Listen to her. Richardson said, this is just one game. I'm 21. I'm very young, she said. I have plenty of games left in me to complete or to compete in. And I have plenty of talent that backs me up. After my sanctions is up, I'll be back and ready to compete. This will never happen again. And I believe her. I believe her. She's a young lady. She made a mistake. Hey, she's like, hey, guess what? You know what I'm saying? My mother passed. And they told me about it in an interview. So yeah, I handled it in the wrong way. I did some things I shouldn't have done. And it jeopardized me being able to represent America in the Olympics. That's okay. I'm young. I'll come at it again. and I'll get it next time, and I'll still be in the history books because nobody can take her time away. She blew everybody else out the water. I'm looking at, the memes on Facebook like the rest of y'all, the memes on Instagram and all that. It blew me away how many people of color are coming at her. Oh, she this, she that. Look at the way she talking. There was people critiquing the way she was talking. Don't worry about that. This young lady, she said what she needed to say, and we all got the message. And I like the fact that right there she let you know, hey, look, this was a mistake. I made a mistake. I'm young. I made a mistake. That will happen. But guess what? When I come back, I'll come back and I'll be victorious and I'll follow through. I'll see it all the way through. And you will read about me. And they will write about me. So that's what's up. I seen a thing with T.I. He said he told her, girl, keep your head up. And he said, we know you're going to be good because we know what you're made of. Yeah, exactly. This sister's one of us. You know what she reminds me of? When I seen that orange hair and them long nails and heard the way she was talking, she was every young lady I worked with at Allen Press. She was all of these young people, all of these 20-somethings. They look like that. They talk like that. They act like that. I'm proud of her. I like what she said right there. And I like the fact that she understands, she gets it. She even used the vernacular today too. I didn't quote that here, but she said something about how when that happened with her mother, yeah, she was triggered. And she did some things that she shouldn't have did. Pitch perfect. That's what's up. That's what's up. You know what I'm saying? This young lady, she learned from her actions. And so all these people, especially people of color coming at her crazy, come on now. You know what it's like to go through something, and you know what it's like to do something you probably shouldn't have did because you were going through something and you were looking for a way to cope. And what she did wasn't even that big a deal. It wouldn't even be news if she wasn't the person she is doing the things that she was doing to represent America. So come on. People kill me with that. So to my sister right there, like I said, I like her style. I dig her. I think she's a great representation for the young people and all the people giving her flack. Back up off of her. Okay, she's a young person who was going through some things. She made a bad decision. Oh well. You know what I'm saying? She's dealing with it. She's getting her mental health together, and she gonna come back at us and be better and brighter. Now, I was gonna look up what happened with some of these other guys when they get caught with marijuana, and then I was saying just right off the top of my head, Shaun White. I remember, and Shaun White is a snowboarder. He's good. They had tested him. He had marijuana in his system. At first, they had took his medals, but then they gave him that because they was like, if anything, marijuana should have impeded his performance, and it didn't. He still won and was better than anybody else high. So if anything, maybe he deserves an extra medal. I say the same thing with this young lady. She still blew everybody out the water with marijuana in her system. Now, do I think she was high at the meet? No, because that's not how weed works. But the fact that it was in her system and these idiots who do the testing for this stuff think that that's what's going on. Whatever, that didn't help her performance. That's not an enhancing drug. That's not going to enhance her performance. So since we all know this, and it's legal in a lot of these states here in America, why don't you go ahead and cut the games and let her represent us in Tokyo the way that she's supposed to? Because she's obviously the best out here. She got the goods. And that I didn't like either. Then you got a lot of people of color leaving in the comments talking about she wasn't even as fast as some of the other people who compete. I don't believe that. That young lady, she's got the goods. She's good. Stop hating. And stop acting like you never did anything wrong. You know what I'm saying? Or made a bad decision. Like I said, I don't think what she did was wrong. Just really wrong time, wrong place. She knew what she had going on in the future. She probably should have refrained at that point. She probably should have just got super drunk instead. Excuse me. I don't want to be endorsing that. Once again, urban politics. This is where politics lives. Before I get out of here, let me find my IPA of the week. Is this guy right here. This Elysian Space Dust IPA. Let me see, I got a little bit of time. Let me tell a story real quick. Friend of mine, his name is Rose. Rose, you know who you is. He watches this show all the time. He is a one of my brothers from another mother. I love him to pieces. And this guy, he had got this one time because we had talked about how I get into IPAs. And I went over there and he was helping me out with a lot of technical stuff and stuff like that. And he had got some of this, and he said he let his wife try it, and she was like, "Oh, that's disgusting. Why would you do that to yourself? This is so nasty." And me and him were just like, "Man, how good the IPA this is." And he was saying, "Ed, I never really got into IPAs all like that, but talking to you, I'm gonna start giving them, more of a sip, more of a taste." I said, "Do it, man. I love IPAs. That's Indian Pale Ale, and this one right here is one of the better ones. This what is this? Elysian Space Dust IPA. It's really good. It's usually 13 and some change. I think it was like 11 and some change. That's why I got it. It's really, really good. It's what is it? It is, let me look, 8.2% alcohol. So when you drink this, you're gonna feel this. My time is up, but remember, that's a good beer. You got a little bit of money in your pocket, might want to cop that. I am Fizz Ed Music. This right here has been Urban Politics, where politics lives. Always, you in the pushback zone, so pushback at FizzEdMusic at Gmail. Yeah, and that's what's up. See you around like a donut.